Too many websites have been built for absolutely nobody. This one mindset shift will ensure that your website does not end up in the graveyard. Let's get straight into it. This is what a normal website might look like when you design it inside of a browser. From this point of view, essentially the way that you think about the user is that they're just a mouse clicking around on a screen. You might build a decent looking website and it might actually look quite nice. And you might fill it out with lots of content that works well for a user that's clicking around on a screen. Maybe for a better, more seasoned designer and developer, you might start looking at different browsers such as Chrome, Safari, etc. And this shows an evolution in your design abilities. You've learned that users use your site in different contexts. But there's levels to this. So you might even get to the point where you start designing for different devices. And so you design for a desktop and a tablet, and you also design for a phone. And this starts to show the progression. You've gone from just a website to different browsers, and then finally you've gotten to the point where you're designing for every device and every browser. Now, if this is where you get to, it's totally fine. And there's this point where if you're building this website for someone and the requirements are well known, you can stop here and you'll do great as a web designer, and that's totally fine. But maybe if your website ends up in the graveyard, it's not just about web design at the end of the day. There is something bigger, something more important than web design. And that is user experience. And I can already see and feel you rolling your eyes at me. And I understand why, just give me a second to explain. So, user experience is about more than just web design. It's sort of 3 steps, and this is a little bit facetious, but step 1 is the user has a problem. Step 2, we're not really sure. And then step 3 is profit. So profit doesn't actually have to be monetary profit, it's basically just a solution. Really where the magic happens is in this number 2 point where you insert what the solution is. So how do you get to that solution based on the problem? And if you come at it as a web designer, you're going to assume that the magic is web design, when that is sometimes the case, but not always. It's really helpful to think of web design as one piece of the puzzle. So you've got web design, but more broadly, you have UX design. And inside of UX design lives web design. So when you're solving a problem, web design actually can be one method of solving that problem. But it doesn't have to be the method that you use. And so it's important to think and understand that in this number 2 spot, it doesn't have to be a website. There's so many different ways to solve a user's problem. And if I just think off the top of my head now, you can send an email, you could create an app, you could create a desktop application, you could distribute a PDF. There's so many different ways to solve a user's problem that jumping towards the conclusion that a website is the way to solve their problem is often making too many assumptions. So that's why I sort of implore you to think more holistically about web design and maybe think of it more from a UX design perspective rather than just jumping straight into designing and building a website. Because the last thing you want is to spend months building and designing this website when an email could have done the same thing. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of it. This video is not for everyone. If you're just designing websites to spec for a client specifically requested a website, this is totally fine. Just do it. Like you'll use the other tricks that I've listed out in this video and you can make a great website. But if you're building one for yourself and you have a bit more creativity in what you're doing to solve this problem, maybe think about it a bit more holistically. Thanks, and I'll see you in this next video.